So as this talk unfolds, I really want you to have open hearts, open minds, open your eyes, and think about, listening and being very, very open-minded to what I'm going to share with you. So I truly believe that data is at its best when it connects, simplifies, and empowers our lives. And prosperity is not necessarily defined by, or prosperity is defined by solutions to human problems rather than money. I think it's quite easy to become quite distorted in how do we define prosperity. I think there are many metrics that we can use that are arguably more important than defining prosperity simply in terms of financial and monetary terms. So we do live in a world where instant gratification has become almost a new behavior. We are becoming more and more addicted to applications and services like WhatsApp, great games from Rovio and from the people at King. I mean, these games are really, really seductive. They're so seductive that you get addicted to them. We can't live without them. Services like Twitter that connect hundreds and hundreds of millions of people that have become part of this new social landscape, part of this fabric that we now all just take as being, it's normal. What was life like before these tools? And I think there are probably quite a few people in this room that can remember life pre-internet, let alone life pre-social media. Companies like Google that make life so easy for us. I mean, they just make life so easy. You can find anything, any knowledge anywhere in the world, any time of the day. It's when you think about these tools that we just take for granted, it's remarkable. Services like eBay, they enable everybody to be able to trade. We can all become a trader and buy and sell. These tools are quite unbelievable. And then we've got the elephant in the room, which is arguably Facebook. Massive company now, huge server farms that enable that machine to be able to function the way that it does. If Facebook goes down for 30 minutes, Twitter is just a stream of Facebook's gone down. It's a miracle that these things keep up when you think about it. And one of the things that really struck me as I was building this narrative and started to research it was something that I kind of discovered, as you're searching. And I discovered this conversation that Mark Zuckerberg had, and this was within the first 10 days of Facebook coming to life, when he was still on the campus and he was trying to figure things out. But what Mark realized was the power of the tool. At the very beginning, the power of a tool that made it very easy for people to share very intimate aspects of their lives. I've got 4,000 emails, pictures, and addresses. How did you manage that? People just submit it. We just share all this information, and they trust me. And he closes that off with dumb fucks. That's really quite profound. And when you think about that's embedded in the DNA, arguably, of the social graph. The oil of the entire graph is our data. And if you can't see the price tag, you're probably the product. I think most of us are starting to realize that this is how it plays out. The social graph, social networks, it's an amazing place, but it's all about capturing as much information as these services humanly possibly can, because the value is in the data that they're able to work with and extract insights and behavioral analytics and monetize that data time and time again. That's what makes it all work, and it's why the services are free, and it's why the user experiences are so compelling and so seductive, because it creates this environment where we willingly give extremely private and intimate aspects of our lives. We share these stories, and the value in that information when it's mapped, and you start to really use extremely powerful data extraction tools and artificial intelligence to extract the insights is huge. The value is much greater than the service, to be perfectly honest with you. We're suffering from something that I call data obesity. We have access to more data than we know what to do with. We're actually drowning under our own data. There is so much of it, and literally we don't know what to do with it. We're inventing use cases to use data in, usually in ways to deliver better contextually relevant ads to a social network site or to your mobile phone. And this is just a simple example of just one person. This is just one person, and this is just their day in Twitter. So this is just like the social graph of one person. When you map that with all of their other social touch points and real-time location-based mobile, an individual social graph in 24 hours it's 3, maybe even 4-dimensional. It's very, very complex. It's very, very deep. So we talk about the social graph, and when you understand the power of it and what's being built, it's actually, it's very, you feel very empowered, but you can also feel quite scared by where this could lead to. And this is just the beginning. There's much, much, much more to come. We're now entering the age of quantified self, the Internet of Things, ambient intelligence, IoT, smart fabrics, driverless cars, hollow suites, which already the technology exists to create, the first kind of working versions of an hollow suite using Oculus Rift and, smart walls that create something that looks as if it's from Star Trek. And all of this is going to come in the very, very near future. And the sheer amount of data that's going to be created from this, and the accuracy of that data and the intimacy of that data, is going to be a magnitude greater than anything we've experienced to date. It is a game changer in terms of the accuracy and the intimacy of the data. So in the US, there are around about 4,000 companies where their entire business model is based around data. Mining data, repackaging data, aggregating data, extracting, different kinds of insights and analytics from data, and selling that data into the market to companies that have a need for it to support their research or their marketing or their innovation. So this is kind of a map of some of the companies that are quite significant players in the data space. And down at the bottom, you can see brands and companies that we all know of, the social media companies and some technology companies. But as you get further and further up that stack, there are companies up at the top that, unless you kind of Google them or you really know the world of data brokers, you don't know they exist. Some of these companies are turning over, in terms of revenue, billions of dollars. They're really big companies with very, very sophisticated algorithms, AI, to extract value from very messy, unstructured data sets. In the USA, this is a $200 billion industry. It is humongous. It's very hard to find statistics about this. It's actually quite hard to find out who these companies are. But when you do and you start to map, where did that company come from? How are they resourced? Who is their management team? It's almost like lifting up a rock and wishing that you hadn't. So this is an example of one company called Palantir. And Palantir are funded by the CIA's venture fund. So the CIA have a venture fund, which I'm going to get onto on the next slide. And Palantir are in the business of developing technologies that are able to extract value from the social graph. They work with intelligence agencies all over the world. They are at the forefront of developing the technology that enables the NSA to do its job. So In-Q-Tel is a venture fund, and In-Q-Tel is the venture fund from the CIA. It's the Central Intelligence Agency, have their own VC fund. And what's interesting about In-Q-Tel is that they go around university campuses hiring the best interns, pay them quite large amounts of money to become an intern. They use that venture fund to invest in emerging data startups. They acquire small data startups that have got potential, and then they roll them into some of the companies that make up the social graph. And this is when I started to think, wow, the entire model of what the NSA are capable of doing is actually, it's not just, the NSA spying. There is technology that's coming from In-Q-Tel that's now embedded within the social graph. They're companies that have been bought by household names, by companies that we touch every day. Have acquired these technology companies that have come from a CIA-funded venture fund that are now embedded in, it's like a tool that's part of Facebook. And it's like, you can't overthink this, and it's not conspiracy theories, believe me, but it's real. It's how deep this has become in the fabric of social networking and the fabric of the places where we go to share intimate aspects of our lives, to connect with people, to go to dating sites, media sites. The whole thing now is so interconnected as an ecosystem. It isn't the NSA and the social graph. There isn't even a demarcation line anymore. It's just one thing. It's how it's being created. You know, if you read a newspaper at home, in the analog world, you kind of, you have your little private space, you're reading a newspaper, you've got no technology around you. You can still experience media in a way that is very, very private, and you can read things that you might not want to read online if you can get the print version, and there's no breadcrumb trail in terms of, oh, John bought that book from that store or from that website. Why is he even reading literature like that? Because that's how this is playing out. It's all been mapped. It's all been mapped, and it's why, people find themselves on, no-fly lists and God knows whatever else, because everything is being mapped. But we live in this paradigm where when you're reading the news on an iPad or you're watching a video on an iPad, it's literally everybody knows what you're doing. The ad technology knows that you're on that page. It's able to deliver contextually relevant advertisements in real time whilst you're reading the news or reading an article about a holiday vacation place. And you think, well, how do they do that? Yeah, it's because the people have invested, companies have invested billions of dollars creating the sophisticated technology that is now becoming AI and predictive that makes all of this possible. And it is fantastic. There's no doubt that the technology is truly breathtaking at times. And whilst we're posting pictures of kittens and unicorns and food and everything else, and we've got these devices coming on stream, the Apple Watch and Jawbone for capturing our physical activity, and obviously smartphones. When you think about those devices and think about how they're being used and how some of these technology companies are bringing to life user experiences and applications, it starts to make you think that maybe this is just a Trojan horse for spyware. It's become the most elegant way of capturing everything about everybody in real time, 24/7 for the rest of our lives, because we've been seduced into this world of user experience apps, playing games, leveling up, increasing our score, having our 15 minutes of fame on YouTube, but it's clearly coming at a price. It really is. Here's an interesting little chart from Statista, and it's just about mobile applications. And when we sign up for services and link this service to your address book or your camera or other applications that are hard baked into your mobile device, it's for many of these applications to work, they need to know where you are, location-based. They need to be able to access your address book. Otherwise, the app doesn't work. But by doing that, you've opened it up. You're opening up your address book. I mean, it's unbelievable that we do this, but we do. So our risk tolerance is quite amazing. It's almost like pre-internet, if you'd have lost your Filofax with all the addresses of all your contacts in, that would have been a catastrophe. Whereas today, we're just willingly giving this information away just to use a free app that even if that app didn't exist, it wouldn't really have much of an impact on our lives. So our risk tolerance all the time is enabling companies to provide us with user experiences that we would not have been able to conceptualize probably 5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, maybe even a year ago. You couldn't have conceptualized that would be a product that you could build, that people will accept it and use it willingly and freely give this information. I mean, you could imagine if George Orwell was alive today, I told you so. So what are you going to do about it? I told you I wrote about this, guys, in the 1930s. You got through 1985. I was like 20 years out, maybe 30 years out in my prediction. But it's here now. It's different to what I imagined, but it's doing everything that I wrote about, but in a different way. It's been turned into entertainment. I truly believe that the next big battleground is around trust. I believe it's more around trust than around privacy. I think by signing up for the services, buying a smartphone, we haven't given up on privacy, but we've let go of a lot of privacy. By virtue of doing that, we've let go of a lot of things that in the very recent past we would not have done. but we are, as an entire, there are hundreds of millions of people that are on this journey. We're on this journey together, and it's around risk tolerance. But trust, I believe, is where the next big battleground is going to be. And if you look at society, all of these daily touch points, eye contact, shaking somebody's hand, going for a beer with somebody, helping somebody out, they're all based on trust. The entire fabric of society is underpinned with trust relationships. And when those trust relationships are compromised and that integrity is compromised, you may not want to be a friend of that person anymore. But within the context of digital, we continue to willingly and free-willingly give so much of ourselves to organizations and entities that at times have compromised their trust and integrity. They've changed their privacy policy. The terms of service are incomprehensible. But we continue to play and participate in this incredible game. So where to next? What is this leading us towards? These are kind of the big six. There's many more. But in the social context, e-commerce, social networks, connectivity, microblogging, Apple with their OS, peer-to-peer marketplaces, search. These are six of the big brands. But there are companies coming up behind them that are developing solutions with a completely different architecture. Two of these companies, Ethereum and Scenario, are building solutions on the blockchain protocol. And the blockchain is what brings Bitcoin to life. So there's a protocol that resides below Bitcoin. The blockchain has got tremendous potential. Ethereum are building a layer on top of the blockchain that is going to disrupt several industries. They talk about smart contracts. Smart contracts are where legal contracts can be moved between two individuals, and you don't need a law firm anymore. You literally do not need a law firm. Law firms need to be figuring out how they can innovate with Ethereum right now, because Ethereum is going to disrupt an entire industry the way that Airbnb and Uber have totally disrupted two huge industries. This is going to come very quickly. Ethereum is coming out of pilot. There'll be mid-2015, you're going to see use cases coming to life. By 2016, you are going to see companies built out of Ethereum that within 2 years will be as big as Uber and Airbnb. They will be multi-billion-dollar businesses coming out of this. So you need to look at what's going on and where these opportunities are to think about privacy and trust in a new way, a different layer, a different kind of protocol. There's a company called Miko. They've created an entire e-commerce solution that doesn't capture any of your data. They've got an architecture that when you buy things, you go to a site, you buy something, you share something, the data isn't being captured. You've got Elo, which is a new social network that got quite a bit of buzz about 2 months ago. And Elo is quite interesting in that what they're saying is that we're going to have a business model that is totally decoupled from the monetizing your data to deliver contextually relevant ads. They're working on a business model that is more based on downloading premium applications to enrich the Elo experience. And most of these companies are in pilot right now. It's like a giant experiment that's taking place. What's the business model? What is the interaction design? What does the UI need to look like? But these companies are coming thick and fast. FireChat, which is the hand one, is a mesh network for mobile. And this is how the protesters in Hong Kong, the Occupy protesters, have been able to remain connected. They turned off the internet. They shut down the mobile operators service. But FireChat enabled these young kids to remain connected, completely decoupled from the web and your mobile operator. You don't need to have Wi-Fi, you don't need 4G. And this is the beginning of new kinds of digital tools that are really going to empower us. We're just not there yet in terms of the big use cases that can come out of this technology. But there are some big use cases that can come out of this technology. I'm just going to run through now some examples of places where really cool things are happening. This is the Maker movement, and this is Fab Lab in Barcelona, which is a very interesting place. It's a place where you can hack and make things, where digital meets analog, meets machines and lathes and welding and carpentry. and circuit boards where you can kind of go into an environment where you can actually work with real things and make things and make robots, and you can hack with, you know, the Tesla chassis and build something different on top of it. It's an amazing movement, the Fab Lab movement. The Fab Lab movement has gone from being very, very underground, not a lot of traction, to getting traction, and now big companies are going into, they're putting people into Fab Labs to understand, how does this work? What does this mean to our innovation as a company? What does it mean to our culture? Because Fab Lab is attracting a new generation of engineers, of people that don't have any software skills, but they can weld and they can work with a milling machine, or they can 3D model. When you bring these two worlds together, you start to see really cool things being created, things that will change the world. I think we all know about the Raspberry Pi, which is revolutionary. We're still at the beginning of understanding, how can we use this? What does this mean in terms of empowering people, making it easy to work and hack and play around with a little piece of hardware that functions like a little miniature computer? There's a company called Arduino who are deep into the entire maker movement with their circuit board, that are able to, you know, a simple circuit board that you can hack with, that enables you to, just for young people to get that first experience of hacking with the circuit board and making a robotic car do something different. It's skilling young people up, enabling people to feel comfortable hacking with this stuff, because we need to feel comfortable with it. And the more we do it, like when you're hacking with software, with code, we need to start hacking with hardware, with real things, because when those two worlds come together, the outcome is truly remarkable. We've got Lego with their really cool idea platform. This is underpinned with a very powerful enterprise crowdsourcing tool. But what Lego have done, they began an experiment called Lego Cusco, and then they transitioned it into Lego Idea. And Lego Ideas is really an outside-in crowdsourcing where they encourage and incentivize fans of Lego to come to them with new ideas, with new solutions. And these products go all the way to market. We've got a 3D printed car that actually works. This is real. We've got a company called Seabury providing, skilling up hundreds of thousands of people with a technology that enables you to learn how to become a welder, but without welding, using the helmet is like Oculus Rift. It's unbelievable, the innovation that's coming from this. There's an organization here in Detroit called Empowerment Plan. A homeless girl created a coat that turns into a sleeping bag. She's now got a factory, she's got money, and she's employing homeless people to make a product that's used by homeless people. And these are really cool businesses. There's a company called Hampton Foods. They are building the world's biggest plant database to replicate foods. They've hacked with the egg, and they've replicated things that an egg does using plant extracts. They went from startup to being on the shelves in Walmart in 18 months. They've raised $40 million from some really cool people, and they're now getting traction. This is just one person, one idea. The founder of this company came out of the world of software development. He's applying that thinking and that methodology to an entirely different industry vertical. It's really powerful. There's a company that's going to talk tomorrow. There's a lady that's going to talk tomorrow. She's the founder of a company called Simris Alg. They're innovating with algae. It's the most nutrient-rich food on the planet, and they're working now around really innovative things that you can do with sunlight and oxygen and CO2 to create very rich nutrition. And the final example is a company in the UK called the Junk Food Project that are intercepting food that's either gone by its sell-by date or it's about to come to its sell-by date, taking it into their cafe and turning it into meals. And people that don't have any money or are homeless, they can go there and get a meal. They can pay for their meal by washing the pots and helping out. These things sound as if they're small and tiny, but they're scaling. They're open source. There are now, I think, maybe 30 or 40 real junk food cafes in the UK. It's a cooperative. These are open source movements that are empowering people. But behind them, they have technology. They're using social networks and they're using apps to build the momentum around the idea. This is a great one, which is a drone with a defibrillator that can save people's lives. This is working now. It's a defibrillator drone that can fly at 100 kilometers an hour and save somebody's life. In order to realize all of this, we need to be more like free thinkers, extroverts, revolutionaries, renegades, disruptors, mavericks. We're going to see this man tonight give his amazing keynote. And the best example of a business person that I could really think of is Elon Musk. And even though he made his money with PayPal, for somebody to conceptualize the Hyperloop and to say, we're going to go to Mars and colonize the planet, that is so incredible. That's the kind of visionary that we need. People that can think way out there, because that's what inspires us. It inspires young people to think, this is really, really possible. I think it's time that we need to take a step back, create some calm amongst the chaos and the noise, and think about collaborating in new ways. Think about how we can build a new kind of social fabric enabler. Think about how we can do that in ways that we've never even considered or even conceptualized. I believe that if the crowd does it, we can change everything for the better. The project that I'm working on out of Lund University is called the Nordic Data Empowerment Initiative. It's a very, very simple idea and premise. It's about a trust mark, the people's terms, so the people have their terms, companies have a trust mark, we transact trust between each other, we donate data to a public stream of data where it's anonymized. We have a collaborative insights engine, which is AI that's extracting high-value insights and behavioral analytics based on high needed use cases. This is very, very conceptual right now. We found 2 technology companies that want to be part of this, that are enterprise level, best of breed, and known names in the world that really like this idea. And we're going to try and bring this to life and get some kind of a pilot going by summer 2015. So we have 4 components, very, very simple. What we're trying to do is, how do we humanize data? Data is about people, insights are about life. And what we're looking at is sense-making. Sense-making is the future. It's when the world of technology, academia, behavioral science really comes together. Social science and technology really comes together, and we start to look at this from a social impact perspective, the lives that we want to lead. How do we want the future to be? Because we can be the architects of any future that we want, if we so choose. We're that empowered with these tools. So what we're doing right now is like assembling a group around this of young people on campuses. And what we're doing to kind of start this is something very simple. We're going to start what we call a data revolution, what we call democratizing data, with something as simple as a hashtag. So somebody said to me, well, what's your MVP going to be, when they saw the architecture of what we're going to build? And I thought about this, and I thought, well, it's going to be a hashtag. We're going to start so lean and so simple to start the conversation, to kind of get the word out there, to get the message out to people and get them engaged in the dialogue, because that's what's needed. I believe that everything that we need is in the palm of our hands. We just sometimes can't see it. You know, Martin Luther King did not say, I have a strategy. He said, I have a dream. Mahatma Gandhi, when he realized what he was doing, didn't say, I need an app for this. He had a story, and that story connected with hundreds of millions of people. It's about shifting from a me to a we mindset, from ecosystems to ecosystems. And I truly believe this. We have the tools that we need to do remarkable things. We have them. And if we don't, it's very, very easy today to find the people that can code things up. 50 lines of code, 20 lines of code, and you can have an MVP that is mind-blowing. You then put a use case around that. You look at the interaction design, the user experience, and a UI. And you can do these things very, very quickly. So we have the tools, we have the knowledge, we have crowdsourcing solutions, and it's like having lightning in a bottle. But I just believe that we haven't taken the cap off the bottle. We're getting fixated on these other things that look like low-hanging fruit to build a company and make a lot of money. But there's a need for us to look at the power that we have and these skills that we have through a different lens, and to deploy this knowledge and to deploy these skills in ways that are going to, make the world the kind of place that we want it to be for ourselves, for our parents that are becoming older, and for our children that are going to inherit the world that we're kind of creating. So that's basically it. I'd just like to thank you for coming in and listening. Thank you.